Okay, folks, I'm awake after a nap. I've taken a couple of naps today. Um, and I guess the point of this video is that all men must prepare for a fall from grace or stardom. Okay, so if you claim to be really intelligent, then you should look up an article by John Ioannidis titled "Why Most Published Research Findings Are False." I believe that's the title of the publication. I read it years ago when it first came out, and made waves on academic Twitter and kicked off, I guess, the replication crisis and trends about reproducible research, and maybe eventually stuff like the Open Science Initiative, in which Brian Nozick and some others are involved and whatnot. So Johnny Renidis was like this highly esteemed figure at one point. That paper that I mentioned launched him into transient superstardom. Okay, but I think during the COVID-19 pandemic, he had some really off predictions about like case mortality or infection rates or something. So basically, you dealt with this absolutely brilliant individual who had a wonderful career, but who nonetheless ended up, I think, possibly doing worse than just generating maybe botched numbers on a very important matter. Um, so there were some cautionary words some people wrote about Johnny Renidis at one point. I don't believe he deserves to be insulted. I still think he's probably going to do fantastic work in the future on the basis of the value of his seminal contributions to ideas about scientific reproducibility. But the fact that somebody so brilliant and so prescient and insightful could come up with such an alarming decline in work quality while not displaying any signs of, say, anything clinically significant like a mental illness or maybe narcissism, or I'm sure you get what I mean here, is something that should give you pause and make you feel humble, okay? There's another very intelligent individual I could invoke here in reference to someone who I think has experienced something of a fall from grace. You can try to think of smart people who are successful financially, who say may have gotten involved in certain domains that are not pertinent to their specializations, who have maybe very quickly experienced a decline in their reception among many or most people within the United States, who are not inclined to, say, worship those who make a lot of money. I'm not mentioning names here. So it doesn't matter how smart you are, okay? If you don't retain an attitude of caution, and if you don't preserve certain kinds of virtues as you go about your work, then you can produce catastrophically false, if not disastrous, outputs. I'm very tempted to mention a specific shortcoming that occurred within the political world, but rather than doing that, I just want to put this out there for you, okay? You should study the life and triumphs and maybe decline of Johnny Renidis, who, once again, I think has great potential to repair his reputation in case it's still compromised in certain circles. This will humble you if you are young and bright and you have positive notions about your future. Okay. The progress in your life is not necessarily going to be some linearly evolving pattern. It's going to be more likely something that gets well, you're going to get gut checked and kind of clotheslined by failures at certain points. And you should just retain an attitude of humble appreciation for anybody who helps you on your way to, the triumphs you will achieve, okay? Stay humble.